Hey, welcome everybody to Open Mic Friday Night at the Crib. We're going to talk about Bounty 16 and some of the Crumpacalypse or whatever it is. Don't have it in front of me. Prizes that got released during the update. You can see them in your shipyard. Um, but let me go ahead and introduce everybody from, well, first, the link is on the right-hand side in case you'd like to join the show. But let me go ahead and introduce everybody from left to right. Magic Mike.
Hey, welcome to Open Mic from Mike.
There you go. And Watchman.
Hi, everybody.
Aussie.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening.
There you go. And yeah, it is 7 o'clock in the morning for you, right?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Oh, you guys
o'clock.
must have had a daylight savings thing that was different than us because you're usually like 12 hours behind.
Yeah, I'm in WA. We don't have daylight savings, so it must have happened over your way somehow.
Yeah. We had a kick in a little while ago.
Yeah.
But the link is on the right-hand side in case anybody'd like to join. And the more the merrier. And Mike, do you want to put the slides up so we can?
Yep,
I want to get some things taken care of before, because I assume most people want to talk about Bounty at this point. And let's get some things out of the way prior to that.
I'm trying here. Let's see what. I hope I don't have a technical issue. I'm trying to share my screen.
Okay.
It's not responding for some reason.
But yeah, the first thing we're going to talk about is some of the prizes that are coming out in the winter event, the Krampus event, which starts December 27th, I think, through the 31st.
Yeah, I've just got the pop-up come up. I had to refresh on my. It's just come up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was taking. I was going to try and work that artwork into the slides, but it was taking me too long to load right before the show started. But basically, do I have the dates right? The 27th through the 31st?
It only says it started. Says it begins on the 27th, 3
Okay,
p.m. EDT. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's 27th through the 31st. And it allows you to get the flagship for the flagship for the Eradicator,
which they're calling
also,
the brutal Eradicator. Yeah.
Yeah, we have slides for it once we.
Sorry.
Mike gets working. There we go. I'm going to put you on present. And yeah, the Brutal Eradicator. Yeah, I put up a comparison between the Brutal Eradicator and the Common Eradicator that we all have at this point. As you'll see, there is a 75% boost to your ballistic damage, a 5% boost to both your ballistic and radioactive defenses. And also you get some a boost to combat speed and higher aura boost, a 10% higher aura boost for radioactive and ballistic as far as the stacking auras, and a plus 25% combat speed. The tricky part of this is it takes 5 days and 2 hours longer to build than your normal Eradicator.
That's the blank hole, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the blank hull. It's 9 days, 7 hours, as opposed to 4 days, 5 hours. If you have R&D 30 and a what do you call them? An officer.
Yep.
So yeah, it's a heavy, it's a heavy boost as far as the build times. The other thing that makes me think, looking at it, it sort of has that Inferno Dragon feel / Makara Manicore that, at least if you're running them scatterguns, this might be a little bit of a tank flagship. And hey, Ren, how are you doing?
Hi, good, you?
Oh, pretty good. We're just going over the Krampus prizes. So it does feel a little bit like a tank to me. I mean, some of these slight, additions may not seem huge, but they add up as far as trying to be more efficient when you're hitting a target.
Yeah.
Anybody have any thoughts on these two? That we're gonna have. I think we're gonna have 2 weeks to build it. and I recommended everybody a couple of weeks ago, keep your generic siege tokens available to build this ship. I have 13. I've heard of somebody else that had 14. I don't think we had the chance to get 99 of them, but we did have the ability to store some of them away. So it's a long build, but and we don't really know the strategy for driving these yet, but it feels a little bit like a tank that you lead with just by the stats that we see here. So anybody have any thoughts on these?
No, unfortunately, I've only got a couple of them siege class build tokens left, but at least I've got a couple. It's more than some people have got. Try and obviously grab. Mind you, I've still got a 7-day token from the weekly FM last week's. So
very nice.
So I can sit on that one because I haven't, I haven't done this week's FM yet. So
okay.
So I should be in good stead, hopefully, to have everything built.
Yeah, you should be in good shape. It's just, but as far as how we might equip this differently, or does anybody, see these?
I don't know how much you can do because normally, like in a lot of the previous raid series and things like that, we'd have a countermeasure ship, and but obviously nothing is countermeasurable in this raid series. So this is just it's got the 5% better on the defenses. Obviously, it is going to tank a bit for us, but that's really about it, isn't it?
And it's worth having with the plus 10% addition. The additions that it provides to the whole fleet, and 5%.
The combat speed and everything, but I think So that's going to make it good. Obviously, getting around those what's it, mountains,
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on the brutal Eradicator? We do have the slide for the armor coming up next. I was just wondering if people had the brutal Eradicator versus the Eradicator. It's not a stunning flagship, but as far as doing anything real crazy, but it is a minor stepwise improvement over the base ship.
I'll tell you what, though, it's another one. It's hard to work the maths out again, isn't it? Because obviously you've got these special abilities, and the original ships give 20% in ballistic and radioactive. These ones give 30% extra, but that never shows in an individual ship build, even if it becomes part of a fleet. This is where the maths become so hard for a player to work out without going crazy down a spreadsheet. To work out what their actual resistances are on their fleets.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about that on the Wednesday show as far as it relates to Wrong Thinkers Post, as far as a long-term project is to get rid of the displays that we currently have as far as resistances and move to a defense rating system. That would basically be, my understanding is it's a translation over to this system. So I don't know, maybe as part of that, we'll see some improvements associated with this sort of thing. Once they take a good look at it.
The way I would like to see it, FA, is when you've got a fleet of ships, and if you click on any one of those ships, you can see all the applied bonuses from the other ships, so you know exactly what you've got there. That would simplify it and make it easier for everybody. Rather than have to get spreadsheets.
It would require them reworking all the displays, because where would they display this? Because every time you change your fleet configuration, those numbers are going to change. We don't really have a place in the game currently that would show that.
Yeah, it would be nice if they did. Automatically read. Look, computers are all about numbers and maths and calculations. That's what they do. That's what they, that's what they're good at. So as soon as you take out this one that applies that amount of bonuses, you drop a different ship in, all the bonuses and all the change, all those numbers change. So it's just a mathematical calculation, isn't it? But it should be done at their end rather than us have to do it at our end.
Ren, Aussie, you have any thoughts on the flag?
No, it's the first time I've seen the details on it, so not really.
Okay.
was just going to say probably, I mean, I'm not going to have it done for the first raid anyway, but just whenever building weight, because I'm pretty sure they're going to have flagship only specials, flagship only weapons again.
Yeah, that's going to be the tricky part. Yeah, what the escalation is going to be on this one, and if they did it like last time, then it might potentially even be more tanky than I think it is with these little additions.
Yeah.
Are we going to be looking at collecting shards again to get some of these things, you think?
Probably.
Damn.
Right. Do we know if this is going to be skirmish? Because I've been asked by a few guys in my lights.
Siege. The event
to win. Yeah, the cramp.
I think that's the assumption, but I don't think we've got any information that would make us think that. Besides, that would sort of follow the pattern of what they do. I really hope it's not mana cores, but you never know what they're going to do.
No,
I mean, why not? We have only 6 Manticore TLCs active right now. I mean, put an event on top.
It's like,
I would have expected it to be skirmish because we had to use skirmish to win the original Eradicators. So I would have thought to win the brutal Eradicator would also be skirmish.
That's what I'm saying. That's the assumption, but we don't have any information to say that. Okay, and Misty has a drink, and John does not want to have mana cores to win this. So let's move on to the next one, which is a little bit interesting. The folded ferrite armor. This is also available during that event. It's different. I guess I should have put it next to the C1CR. But the main differences are it weighs a lot more. It's got 5,000 armor points as opposed to 0, which is really the big addition here. And it has has plus 20 for both ballistic and radioactive, as opposed to 18% with the C1CR. The C1CR also has a plus 20 deflection stat, which relative to 5,000 armor points is lacking. Yeah. So the big issue that I see with this is associated with when we're getting it relative to the raid proper. With a 1 day 10-hour build time, it's going to take a while to put these on. I'm probably going to put them on the brutal, the flagship. And I probably won't have time to deal with putting them on the Eradicators proper. I don't think I'll have a what?
Is this limited? Have we got to get charged?
No, it's not limited. It's not limited.
Good. All right.
So yeah, you can build as many as you want as long as you have
the time,
34 hours to do it. Yeah. So any more thoughts on the Ren, Aussie, Mike, thoughts on the armor?
No, that was the only question I was going to ask too, the limited part.
Yeah. I mean, the big part is it helps your repair efficiency. It's going to dilute that 5,000 is going to help somewhat.
Times 4, it's 20,000. So you're gaining 20% more armor, more defense, and not increasing the repair time.
Yeah. So,
just a question, if anybody knows, I don't have the game open, but the C1CR, how long does it take to fit on a ship? This one is a day 9 hours.
1 day 4 hours, but if somebody else could,
yeah, let me just check. Hang on.
But try and fit it on a gunboat, and that'll give you the straight up number.
Well, I'm going to go into design mode and then clear, and then just put one on. Hang on, C1CR.
Yeah, but if you put it, like I'm saying, the easy way is to put it on a gunboat because then you don't have to do any math.
Yeah. All right, yeah, because it's for a blank Eradicator, it's 4 days, 5 hours, 37 minutes. Sorry, I didn't go to a gunboat. And then, do you want me to get a gunboat?
Gunboat is skirmish. Skirmish. And then it's like in the middle left.
Will it allow us to put one on?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah. That's how I do all this. Yeah, the gunboat takes an armor.
Right.
It's just I just use the gunboat because it has zero build time. That's how I actually got the numbers for That's how I got the number for the F1CR is by putting on a gunboat, and so I could just post it here.
I can't find a gunboat in skirmish. No. Garrison. I think
it's somewhere right around 1 hour, and it depends on your R&D and your crews. For me, R&D 30 with the officer. I think it's somewhere right around 1 day, 3 hours, 1 day, 4 hours. It's still significant. But it's a slight discount over the this new armor.
Right, I'm doing 5 days, 6 hours, and 30 minutes with the armor. Right, 5 days, 6 hours, 30 minutes with the armor.
Okay, so you're talking 1 day, 1 hour.
If I take the armor off, yeah, 1 day, 1 hour, just under 1 day. 1 hour.
Okay. Yeah, so it's still over a day, so it's a decrease. So to put those on, so
but you are obviously getting bonuses from the extra armor on the 20% as opposed to 18% on defenses on the new armor.
The other thing to consider is like these guys, they beat the old armor. What's it called? The ones on FM, D6R, D6C.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 of these plates, F1CR, in percentage defense are better than 1 of each of those in FM. So those armors to me are kind of like stillborn. They're just brand new to the game and already are not good.
I think they're specialty armors because actually if you compare them with 2 of the charged armors, they don't add up there either. But my guess is we're going to see different builds. Like, let's say you wanted to use instead of let's say you wanted to use the reinforced layered special. You might want to put a couple of the limited rad armors on there.
The D6R only. I get your point. I mean, eventually in the raid, the damages are not balanced and they're skewed towards one or the other. Then it makes sense.
Yeah, because people have complained, and I'm like, it's a specialty armor because people were like. They're like, oh, I have to put all these on, and I'm like, no, this is like a tuning armor. This isn't the armor you're supposed to put on everything, and because we didn't see that until now, where we see the folded ferrite or ferrite. I'm sorry, the folded ferrite would be a whole different thing, but the folded ferrite armor, that's. But I think people are going to be forced to put the charged armor on and then refit to these probably. So the timing is not great. I wish this armor had come out during the FM.
But isn't it coming out now in this Krampus event?
Yeah. But I'm saying it's coming out. It's coming out, 2 weeks before the raid as opposed to a month before the raid. So it might force a lot of people to fit their normal eradicators with the charged armors, but we'll see. If you can build and avoid it, it's still going to take you 9 hours per plate. But
well, I mean, if you hadn't fitted any armors on your ship and you've got 2 weeks to build it,
and that's me. I'm building the 4 ships and I don't have any armor on them yet.
Right. And then, of course, but you still got to build the hull, unfortunately. Otherwise, with the weekly tokens, you could refit possibly all the armor. But that means, but you still got to build the flagship itself. So, yeah, you're not going to get them all refitted in time with this new armor. Unless you're going to coin a bit.
Yeah. And chat, as far as chat goes, I didn't have a time until it actually said folded ferrite. I didn't have a chance to look on, make a Google image search to see if I could find anything appropriate. But, all right. Anything else? that we have on this, or we can move on to onto bounty. I just wanted to explain something really quick on bounty if we're done with this before we get into general discussion on bounty. Anything else that we got on this stuff?
No, it seems pretty good. I mean, I like the armor. Unfortunately, I wish they'd released that originally rather than now, or rather than then. But yeah.
Okay. Man, Aussie Mike. Okay, let's move on then.
So we're saying that the pool isn't going to work on this?
No, well, it's not that the pool isn't going to work, because we assume the pool's not going to work, because they a while ago they said the pool, we're not going to allow this pool to work. So the reason that we would have this in place is the slightly better resistances, and then the 5,000 armor to do the loot.
But are they making the pool useless on all targets? Because initially they were only making the pool useless at top level targets. Low level targets, charge armor was still outperforming the regular. So
yeah.
I mean, if you're going to hit 60s or 80s, like I don't think my fleet will be up to par for any elite target, honestly, because I'm only going to have 4 ships with barely any armor. I'm thinking going C1CR just because I think on the 60s, maybe the 80s, which is what I'm going to be able to hit, the pool might work.
Maybe. Yeah, and as far as the C1CR, if I run out of build ideas as far as what I feel confident putting on, I'm going to start putting C1CR, and I might eventually end up being forced to do that anyways because of the build time differentials.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to go with C1CR and then slowly refit to the newer armor as in the next month.
My plan is C1CR, and if I see that I'm running really out of time, I'm just going to fill up with C1C.
All right. Let me there's been several changes to bounty since we last seen it a couple of months ago. The main thing that a lot of people have, one of the main things that a lot of people have noticed is there's been a complete removal of manual banking of your bounty, which we'll get into in a minute, because I know that's going to be an item of contention. The other item that I see even people that, I see these posts everywhere trying to explain the new bounty secures, like, oh, you need 10,000 to bank, to secure your bounty, or you need 20,000, and neither one of those is true. 20,000 is the best case condition, assuming that you never get hit. What I'm trying to do here is like a quick left to right scenario as far as trying to explain how it could work for you. On the left-hand side, you'll see this start condition, which is just a random one that you've gone out and hit bases, hit opponent base, and opponent bases or whatever, and you have 18,000 armor. So, or I'm sorry, 18,000 bounty points. So what happens is that 50% of everything that you earn that comes in is secured, and the rest of it remains unsecured. And in this instance, in that start block, you see 9,000 of each. We've split it, and so 50% is unsecured. So let's say at this point, and you remember the requirement is that you have 10,000 unsecured bounty in order to secure. So your base is hit, meaning that you lose half and you lose. That means that you've lost half of your unsecured. So you've dropped from 9,000 down to 4,500. And then because we only got a 4-hour bubble and you're asleep, you unbubble and then you get hit again. And the second time that you get hit, you lose half again what you already had. So now you're down to 2,250 unsecured on your way to your goal of 10,000. So you go out and you collect another 10,000, and your total is up to, that you've collected, is up to 28,000, and you've secured 14K. But your unsecured is still only at 7,250. So you're still not to your goal of 10,000 in order to secure. And then your base gets hit again, just because, it's going to happen. And now your unsecured has dropped down again to 3,625. And then you get hit again. 862, basically you're losing half of your unsecured every single time. And we'll skip through until a point like, okay, well, I'm going to drink some Red Bulls and I'm going to put a guard out on my base and maybe have, whatever. Or, luckily you're not getting hit. You collect 15,000 while you already have 4.3K, and you get up to, that your last hit takes you up to a little over 11K. All you need is 10K to secure. So basically that immediately pushes 10,000 of that into your secured. So now you have 36.5K secured and only 1.8K unsecured. During this process, which I don't think is a completely unreasonable process, you've collected 53,000 in order to lock. But you still have a lot of bounty. You still have 38K. Does this make sense to anybody? Or, I'm just tired of seeing all the stuff that doesn't make sense out there.
It makes total sense.
Yeah, people are speaking a lot of nonsense, a lot of knee-jerk reactions and whatnot. But just to be a bit anal about what you said, it's like when you keep saying on your base it's hit, the right thing to say is like when your base is hit and you lose.
Well, I didn't have space for that. I said that the first time.
Yeah, sorry, I missed it.
Yeah,
because today was funny. I had a guy hitting my base.
Yeah.
And he didn't bubble me, but I think I did enough damage to his fleet during his prep that I scored 200 points. And
okay.
I was 100 points short of banking. So his prep hit caused me to bank.
I've read that before. That's nice though when they do that. Yeah.
It was hilarious, right?
Yeah. You think, shit, I'm going to lose this, shit. And then suddenly they help you bank. Yeah. It's nice, sweet.
Yeah. Anybody? If we don't have any much on this, this is the last slide.
I haven't started Bounty yet. I've been watching what everyone's doing, seeing what they're doing. Just seeing how it's playing out. I'll probably play on the last day or so. We'll see how that works. I did okay last time, and I'm a reasonably high level player. I can normally hit a reasonable score. Now, I don't think there's that much in this bounty that I need that desperately. That's game changing.
I haven't started bounty. Wasn't intending to do it. There's nothing really there. I can't be bothered.
So I think hopefully I can get everything I need, should need in the last day.
Yeah, I haven't started bounty, and I don't plan to. I just wanted to explain it to everybody, like the way it works, because every place I see it, it's not getting communicated well, and just wanted to try and explain some of the, through this little scenario, of some of the rules involved, that everything that you hit, everything that you earn as far as bounty, 50% is automatically secured. Whenever you're hit, when you can be hit multiple times, you're unsecured every time you can protect 50%, but you can get hit again and lose another 50%.
Yeah.
So it's
the only time you lock from your bounty is when your unsecured reaches over 10,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Even I understand it. So.
Okay. Well, I guess we're done. I don't think we got much left as far as slide goes. So if people want to join and talk about bounty, it doesn't sound like anybody's actually doing bounty. So I'm not sure how interesting it is to have a bunch of people.
We've got plenty of players like in our alliance that are doing it. You know what I mean? And,
I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
Okay, you're doing it. Okay. I'm just, it didn't sound like anybody else was doing it. I was just, So how are you finding bounty, Ren?
Like I said, I'm having a blast. I like the new model a lot better.
Okay.
I didn't know it was going to be this way. So at first, my first reaction, like, oh, I don't like that. Mm-hmm. Then I started playing and like, no, you know what? I really like that, because I think immediately securing half of anything you get is great. Especially the players who cannot defend themselves really well. Because before you were like, oh, you know, we had 3, 4, 2, depending on the day, banking, right, options there. And once you spam those banking buttons there, you had a day, you're done. Any point you score now is exposed.
Well, I mean,
okay, and now half of everything you score is secured.
But in saying that, Ren, if they were lucky enough to get be left unmolested and get that 10,000 banking point, they could still, you know, have 5 banks, 4 banks, 3 banks, however it went through the thing. So I don't know if it's a plus or a minus. I mean, for the higher levels, I think it's okay because they got stronger bases. For the lower levels,
for the higher levels is actually grindier because now, you know, a lot of the higher levels would just go out and try to score 10K as soon as possible. So you bank, without spending a charge in the old model.
Yeah,
in the new model now, if you want to get, I mean, if you want to get 10K banked, you actually got to score 20. The first 10K banks as you go, and the other 10K. So in a way, it feels grindier. And again, I'm not applying any logic to this. Just the feeling is like, you know, oh, I gotta hit a lot more to bank. But the reality is like half of what I'm scoring is saving. So.
Yeah, the reason I don't like it is because there's, you know, we also have the TLCs, the FM, sleep, work, and whatnot. That there's never, you're always a target. And
well, to be fair here, transparent. I am not touching any of the TLCs.
Yeah,
I have nothing there I care about.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like there's no because my main issue with bounty since the beginning, and I don't know what the actual solution is the length of the bubbles relative to the repair time of our bases. I just don't like the fact that, you know, you can keep on getting, you know, torn down and don't have a chance to repair. And especially, you know, that's...
Sorry, I think I've gone. No, I think for a lot of players as well. I mean, obviously the better players with the very best bases, you know, maybe not concerned because they know you can go back, but you know, there's other people that work very hard to just try and get some medals. You can say medals are worth nothing, but they don't want to leave their bases vulnerable for 4 whole days, where, as you say, you can get hit by somebody that could be from a very top alliance that does your base. Your base hasn't repaired in that 4-hour time, and then somebody that comes in that's a level bloody 95 or 85 with a half decent fleet can now go and do your base because it hasn't repaired, you know, and rip suddenly 40 medals off of you or something, and it took you months to get them, you know. That's the part of it I find wrong. That's where the balance is, you know. That's wrong for me.
And the main problem there is actually the guard. I mean, the base repairing, you know, right now, if your turrets are with half their health, it actually, depending on the situation, can even work in your favor because you're going to bubble a lot faster. But the guard is the main challenge, right? And that's where having a good alliance helps because, you know, people are coming to alliance comms and just say, hey, I'm going to take a go at the 10K. Right? Can somebody put a guard on my base? And somebody puts an external guard and works as an early alert that, oh, I'm about to be hit. And everyone's doing that in the sense of like, if you're online, you're scoring your points and you get hit. I mean, people are, of course, using Conquerors as defense because then you can drive them around and make it that much harder. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a possibility. I mean, it's just...
I'm just saying what I'm seeing, not even a possibility. I'm not speculating. That's what I'm actually seeing. So every base I go and guys have like 3K, 4K exposed. They're clearly online trying to get to the 10K, right? Because if they're worth nearly 5K to me, it means getting close to 10K unsecured.
Yeah.
Which is very different as well and much better than before. Right now, the most you ever going to have exposed is 4,999K bounty. Before, in the early editions of bounty, you got to Sunday and you had 17K, 30K, I don't know, it was some stupid amount of bounty exposed, and people would just take half of it.
I also like that.
I think people forget that. But on the last day on Sunday, you could only, like, before the manual bank for many months, bounty, you could only go and get, 52K or something to bank. And now the maximum risk you're ever going to have is 5K bounty.
Yeah.
Hey, Jordy. Hey, High Lord. How are you guys doing?
Hello, Hefe. Hello, all.
Push my name to Mark so you know it's
Hi, guys.
Hey. So keep on. I'm just saying hey to people that join. Go ahead and keep on. No, I mean, I think me and a lot of players. I don't like the fact that there's not like once you join this bounty, there's no break. Unless you can hit that 10,000 within, which is 20,000 or 53,000 or whatever it is. There's not like I can walk away, do something else, and not worry about having my base hit several times, and then having having to spend hours repairing my guard, which is it's whatever. I've chosen not to participate.
You can get to the 10,000. You can bank everything. You can get to 20,000. You can get to wherever you need to go every time. Yeah, but if your base is getting hit and it doesn't repair, you're vulnerable to hits from players that are not doing the bounty, or and are getting a full repair on their base in the full 36 hours or 24 or 12 hours, whatever, in retaliation. So you do become a lot more vulnerable to everybody, and that's tactically. I look at it and think, do I want to start the bounty from the beginning? Do I want to leave myself vulnerable for that amount of time, or do I want to try and just make it that one day?
Yeah, and a larger question I think that's getting exposed here is why do we have these insane, like, why does a portal have a repair time of over 10 hours? I mean, what is good at how does that improve the game in any way to have such a really long repair time on something that's on the outside of your base that, it's going to get hit it's going to get killed no matter who hits your base. And now you have 10 hours of repair time or 10 plus hours of repair time where you can't change your base. You can't do, there's a lot of things that you can't do just because that got hit. Well, why is it so long? It doesn't encourage people to go out and hit more bases. It just seems like a weird mechanic that I don't know why it's there.
I mean, I've never been a player that's repaired my base, coined to repair my base, ever. I mean, obviously there must be players out there doing it, but that's not a thing that I've ever done. And I've spent a lot of money on this game over the years, but coining base repairs has never been one of them. And that is kind of what puts me off of jumping straight in to the bounty from the get-go, from the very start of it. I'd rather leave myself vulnerable for the minimum amount of time that I need to. Yeah.
To be honest, though, if you'll find if you've got conquerors in your guard fleet, like a dreadnought, and a lot of people are just turning away when they see it.
Oh no, I've killed. I'll tell you what, most of the bases I hit, I've got dreadnoughts in, and I'm taking them out. I mean,
but that's the level of coin you've decided to play at. A lot of people are just going, no, I'll not do it, and they'll go elsewhere. The basic mechanics of bounty haven't changed. It's about milking from the bottom and dragging it upwards. And everybody is hitting down way low. Those guys are then getting punished because of the having to get the extra points to bank, and they're struggling to do it. It's just a time constraint. Having the extra banked as you collect it really doesn't make any difference when there's not much good stuff in the actual event anyway.
No, I don't think the prizes are like wow must-haves.
There's much bigger issues. The performance is appalling.
Oh, I'll tell you, I'm going to say, yeah, I'm going to say the amount of times I've had to refresh and things like that. And so I'm not playing it, but
yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. I don't agree that this format's bad. I'm enjoying it, but I do agree that lag is horrible.
I mean, you know, I've had times where I can't even move the map after a few minutes. You know, I'm struggling. I've had to reset. You know, you're on the map and you can't even drag the map around. It's been like, and as I've said before, I've got a 1 gigabyte internet connection up and down, and it's really fast. You know, it's blisteringly fast. And I've got a powerful, very powerful computer, and so you know, it's nothing on my end. So it's choking. You know, at their end.
I can be attacking the dreads. And you set them on their merry way, and then you want to stop as you get to a position where you're in a nice line to get a down the line shot.
Yeah,
you click on one of the targets, and it just carries on to the original waypoint. It's absolutely appalling. About every third jump, or if you get hit while you're in a target, you just go into the black screen of death, and you've got to refresh.
Well, this is it. I mean, when you're hitting bases, as you say, that have got like breaches in and stuff like that. I mean, when you're hitting them, you have to get the point that you're attacking them perfectly right.
Yeah.
You know, you have to get that right. And if, as you say, if you overrun that, you know, then you become vulnerable. You know what I mean? When you're prepping out, when you're hitting bases and stuff like that, you have to get that right. If it's lagging and it doesn't stop when you want it to stop, then yeah, all of a sudden, what could have been a fucking great hit for you becomes you've suddenly lost everything. You know.
Yeah, and your opponent bases, yeah, you're still joining in combat on those, and your fleet's already in combat.
Yeah.
You know, it's like the players online. They can fiddle with the problem with all these format changes and everything else they're doing in the game is that they're not hitting the root causes. You know, the performance just isn't up to scratch.
Well, that's been it for a long time. You know, when they ask us to play skillful, when there's such a small margin of error between the target that we're hitting and them being able to shoot back at us, yeah, and then and you've got appalling lag.
Yeah.
You know, it almost makes it unplayable. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think in your instance, and what I intend to do anyway is, I'll have my points by the end of tonight that I want for the raid, and then I'll just leave it. That'll be me done. Because I've got other things to do laterally in the weekend that I want to get on with. So.
Yeah, apparently there's something going on Tuesday, but. People are planning for, yeah, but
I mean,
trust me, I've got all this food in.
You know, if you're up high enough level, people aren't hitting till you're nearer the bank point. So you know the amount you're going to accrue from just your drops, unless you're religiously logging on for them every time, your risk's quite negligible.
Oh, I'll tell you what, pitch me off. We got a golden Nexus, right? Now, even though
you can find them out. My golden Nexus locator isn't even working to see what's going on.
No, we got a bloody golden Nexus, yeah? We got one on the first day, yeah? So we moved off of our Nexus and took this Nexus, all got it, yeah? Right? And then during the night, they fucking reset it. And you never guess what? Our original Nexus become a fucking golden one. Bastards. And by that time it was full of another alliance and bigger than us, you know, and yeah, it weren't worth trying to push.
There's no bonus being paid out on Friday for them anyway, apparently, is there?
Yeah, but you know, we bloody well had one, like, you know, and a few times we've managed to keep them, you know, but this time it was just right, fuck it, it's not gonna happen this time, you know. But that was annoying to have it fucking stolen from. I mean, we didn't lose it by being attacked. We lost it in kick-sized balls up. You know.
Okay.
The moving Nexus.
But were you able to locate a Nexus using the tab on the side of the?
What, a golden Nexus? Yeah.
Well, it eventually fixed itself, I guess. But yeah, some people were finding them earlier. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we found one and all fucking sailed over to it, and there was only a couple of little bods on it, and we like kicked them off, and yeah, we got it. You know, we brought about fucking like 50 fucking like megas over there, And we all woke up the next day, and it ain't golden anymore. And then we see a note coming up saying, "Oh yeah, sorry, we made a mistake on the first ones." You know, and it's gone. And the original bloody Nexus that which was our original one in the sector we were in, has now become golden. You think, fuck it, that's why we were parked in the first place. You know.
Yeah. Okay. So do we have much else to talk about? I mean, bounties, you know. I just want to give everybody else a chance to talk. You know, High Lord's always good for yelling about something.
I got mine. I put a lot
Your volume is way down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're standing.
Oh,
in
whoops,
another
my
room.
my mic was on backwards. Sorry, because it's in the earpiece.
Okay, all right. You
Whoa.
turn your webcam.
That's for sure.
That was confusing. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm tired. I've been up for a long time. I did like a lot of seat time to get my 100K, and now I'm done, and I'm not doing it anymore because I got to go to Washington tomorrow, and I got shit to do over the weekend. So I don't know if I'll get back on. I was only going to hit for like 75, and then I just kept securing, and I only got hit right in the beginning, and then I got a BPL tried me like right at the end where I was trying to right before I secured, and you know, the base flashes up, you're getting hit. Well, I went in a target and I needed like 600. So I finished the target and then went in my base and then smoked like 4 of his treads because he tried a couple times and he got nothing. So I was laughing. I was happy. So I'm done with that shit. But it's a lot of work. But I don't even mess with player bases. I mean, it's too much damage, too much work. You're worried about bubble pads. You're worried about guards. I just look around for the 100, like the mid hundreds, like the 103s and up that pay out 500 to 1,000. And I'll just hit those. I barely take any damage. You know, I got a crew on. You know, I got to repair, but still, everything gets auto banked into your resources get auto banked, your points get auto banked, and if someone was to try to hit me, you know, if I get 1,000 and 500 auto banks and they hit, well, they're only getting 250, and they're taking all that damage. It's like if you really want to do it for that, I mean, I seen a guy just like an hour ago because my buddy's base is right next to mine, and I helped him work on that. He wasted 50 gold repairing and going back in and out for 1,000 for 1K. I'm like, you are fucking retarded.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of this was to have players hit each other's bases. But do you think it doesn't sound like it's working from your perspective?
No, I don't mess. It's too much damage and too much headache. You got to worry about bubble pads and, you know, and taking out guards. I mean, the opponents, you can hit it as many times as you want. It never bubbles. You can do whatever you got to do, and there's no guard, and they're easier. You know, because I mean, I hit some 120s and up. I saw like a 145 that still paid 500 to 1,000. I'm like, you guys must be high. But, you know, I thought it'd be like $4 grand for that. But no, it was the same price as the one that I found some 103s that were 500 to 1,000. And, you know, most of them are like 110s, 117s. But, I mean, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
It's a lot of grinding, I'll tell you what. But I got it done, and now I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the bounty. I'm done.
I am seeing plenty of basing. You know, maybe it's just the alliance I'm in and the alliances that we're hanging with. You know, where we are, but because the alliance is split up in a couple of sectors at the moment, and in both sectors there's plenty of basing going on. You know.
Well, yeah, I see it. I'm not wasting my coin on that. I'd rather we compare on the map and just get my points, you know, and defend my base if I need to. And, you know, and I secured 5 times with almost no hits.
Okay. Well, that's cool. So and the reason you think you were able to do that is no hits. Are you in one of the big alliances and people were guarding you, or
no? I'm in a little alliance, man. I'm in a tiny alliance, and the guys, you know, big guys came in, like BPL came in, some other guy came in. You know, one right at the beginning and then one right at the end. And through the entire time, nobody tried. And I think they're just, you know, starting to get a little smarter that some of these little guys actually know what they're doing. Just because they're not in a big alliance doesn't mean they don't know how to play.
I
completely agree about that, if I may interrupt. There's a guy, I'm just laughing every time I click on his base. He's right next to my base. He had like over 4,000 exposed bounty. and nobody was doing anything because he was level 75. So the big guys, nobody can hit him, right?
Right.
And I don't think people his level were trying, or not many at that level doing bounty. So that guy was like level 75, and he was making a killing on bounty, just scoring points, right? Hitting mid-low level opponents and whatnot.
Yep. That's definitely a possible.
That's a different perspective. Most people here on the show are like level 100 and something, right?
Yeah, I'm like on the upper, low 120s.
Exactly. So sometimes we forget. I mean, when we were level 75, it was a completely different game. So we don't know exactly what it is like to be a level 75 today. And I'm looking at that guy and going like, oh, that guy's having a blast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Till he levels up. But
I'm not sure I was ever a 75 because remember all those transfers. But
that's right.
No. When they changed, I mean, remember years back when they changed the numbers?
They changed it a couple times, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think I was about a level 33, and before then I became a 52. That was about 6 years ago when they changed the levels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6.5 years ago.
I think I skipped from like I was 31 in the old system, and then all of a sudden next day I was like 60 something.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. I completely bypassed. I completely bypassed the 40s and stuff like that. I never saw them ever.
Yeah, remember there was also that stuff up where I don't know something wasn't being secured. You weren't getting your points or something, and you jumped up a whole bunch of levels. They issued the points to everyone that was missing the points or something, and everyone or most people leveled up a few levels as well.
That might have been the time when I took a break for a while.
Yeah, I don't remember all that stuff. It's been so old.
I remember it.
I did take just over a year off as it goes at one stage, you know what I mean, and sort of it was a struggle to come back, but I did. I ground it in out, and actually I remember asking Ren just some advice on my final fleet for the build before we did the Cannoneer raid. I was in Sector 1 at the time, and it was him that said to me, about making one of the ships a countermeasure ship, and it worked. And thank you for that, you know. And I won the Cannoneers. I won't lie, I kind of fuckers, and and then I just got fucking hundreds of points, you know, in that same raid because everything was free after that, you know. So yeah. But the first 3 months of that time, I had to grind out at the lowest level just to get my fleets ranked and things like that. And eventually, by the last raid, which was a Cannoneer raid, I'd managed to get a fully built and ranked fleet to win the Cannoneers. And within the first 6 hours, I'd won them. And then I just coined the fuckers, and they worked like a treat. And if you remember rightly, you could use the Cannoneers to hit everything. Afterwards, bases, everything.
Cannoneer was a glass cannon ship, but it was driven.
And that cannon range of 105 was a unique thing.
Yeah, and it allowed me to catch up in the game a lot faster than I would have normally been able to from coming back from nowhere, really. You know?
Yeah, you had a multi-purpose ship at the time. Now it's just not heard of anymore.
No, that's it. It'd be much harder to do that now, and I probably wouldn't do it now. You know. But I'll pick the right time to come back, probably.
Yeah, well, some of these people the right time to come back is right now with some of the on the Banhammer page. I've seen some offers to come back that are pretty crazy. It starts off with 5,000 gold. And then you get mana cores, bat rays.
Well, can I tell you
pretty much all the most recent ships plus 5,000 gold, and then a ton of tokens.
Okay. Can I tell you something now? On Wednesday, me and Hylor were talking about this, in the after chat. Now, and I don't mind a player coming in at 80 and having all the ships, the fleets that he needs to do B-level targets to do the next one down, because we need players. We need players.
I think you misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying the right time to come back to the game.
Oh yeah.
It may not have been then. It might be now, but I'm assuming that for those offers, that player had to be historically well invested in the game, as people like to say.
Okay. Yep. Okay.
In order to get that kind of offer to return, because it's over the top.
I mean, look, trying to start this game at a level 0, level 5 now it'd be almost impossible to get anywhere. You know, you've got to come in at a good level and be given an X amount of fleets to hit the ground running. You know, and I don't mind players just be able to come in and hit the ground running at level 80 with, you know, B-level fleets and stuff
like icebreakers and skies and just,
you know,
older stuff, but still viable stuff.
Yeah, give them fully ranked fleets where they can go out and grind on the FM, you know, and if they want to do things quicker, I don't mind that because we need players, because at the moment we've been hemorrhaging players so fast that we'll have no one to fight against. You know, so I don't mind if a new player comes in and gets that.
Isn't it a sign of the fact, like, the more generous these offers to come back become, the more you know it's bleeding forward.
Sorry, I didn't hear all that because there was a cough or something.
Sorry.
So,
He just saying the bigger the offers get, the more desperate they are. Yes.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't know. Does anyone have any objection to that? I mean, I don't.
I think it's a great idea. As long as they're not getting the top newest stuff, I'm fine with that. I mean, like you said, we need more people in the game.
Exactly.
I don't mind if it's the newest stuff, as long as it's the newest stuff from the raid cycle that's over already.
Right. Exactly.
And we all got a little taste of that with the bat raids, because the builds are horrendous.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bad builds, and so it's like you might get the newest stuff, but you might have to spend a week refitting those if you do it.
Or you go and you hit down 60s or 80s or whatever.
But that's it. Yeah, I mean that's it. If they can grind it out and hit down, you know what I mean. And then look. If Kickstarter can get another 1,000 players in, or a few more 1,000 players in by giving them all this free toys, how many they'll keep? Right, we'll never know that. But if they did to them, a few of them might think, well, you know what? If I spent a little bit of money, I can get a better fleet, or I can win a little bit more. And because at the end of the day, they want to encourage people to spend money, right? So if they give them that, and then they say, but if you spend a little bit more, you can win the top fleets, and that's their game in the long run anyway. So if you give them a bit to earn something in the long run, that works for them as well as all of us, because then we have competition to play against.
Yeah.
Right? You know, rather than a diminishing fucking pool. You know.
No. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good idea. It's just, I was just saying it's the right time to come back in the game, because I think it's helpful as long as it's done judiciously. You know, it's bringing new players back to the game, or old players back to the game, that are willing to, you know, they know what they're doing and they're willing to put up with a lot of bullshit to a certain extent, and then they walk away, but then they're coming back. So it puts them at a point where, like, okay, if these people, because they're probably tracking these people, like, okay, we gave them all this shit, and then they walked away again. Do they blame it on themselves, or do they blame it on the player? I don't know.
Me and Hilo were talking about it on Wednesday, and we were saying you can't expect a player to come in now from the start and catch up in 6 years of play and knowledge that we've gained, 6 years plus or more, in a couple of months. But if you start on where they can hit the ground running and at least grind, have fleets where they can at least grind stuff out. If they want to put a bit of seat time in, or if they want to spend a bit of money, they can do it faster. At least they can, they become viable. They could become viable in a matter of months, and that's where, from me as a businessman, that's where I would introduce people back into the game, To me, it makes sense,
Yeah, they should. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. They should come in, like a new player, or start them at level 40. Give them like an icebreaker fleet. Give them like a sky fleet. Give them the bats, and then right there, they can pretty much do like a bunch of stuff. And they're already at level 40, so everything's at that. And then all like the level 3 tech and below, that's already there for them if they want to use it.
Probably about level 60. I mean, you've got to have your dock high enough. You've got to have certain things high enough.
Yeah. Well, the dock they can just make. At that level, but still, they, like George was saying the other day, I said 50 or 80 or something, and he's like, no, they need a little bit of room to grow, because once they hit 80, they're going to start getting hit, and he had a good point.
Yeah. You're talking about not just being at level 50 or 80. It's the technology and their base associated with it.
Right, right.
Yeah, and the other thing is that I've been complaining about, even though it doesn't impact me at all as a player, is the fact that if somebody can look into the historical archives and figure out the last time that players were able to get Inferno Dragon tokens, I think we're going way back at this point.
That's probably like 9 months ago.
Yeah, I think the Inferno Dragon came out in February. I'm talking about the tokens, not the.
Yeah, the tokens. I've had mine for like a year. I mean, mine's been going forever. But I don't know. The tokens were like definitely like 7 months ago, if not more.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and it disrupts a lot of players. Because a lot of players are working on their Inferno Dragons. Yeah. It doesn't allow them to stay current with the rest of everything.
Yeah,
I mean, they can keep on doing with the icebreakers, but they want to do the Inferno Dragons. And
there should be like 1 or 2 in FM every week for like million or even like 600, 500 every week. 1 or 2 tokens. I mean, you can't do a lot, but you can do a little bit.
Yeah, that's it. If they want to grind a little bit more with the icebreakers and get an Inferno Dragon token, and help to speed up the Inferno Dragon build,
right.
Just give them that,
I mean, you got stuff in there that no one even uses. I mean, like Apollos and Zelos. It's like, come on, man, you put some updated stuff in there that people need.
Yeah, I mean, there are actual fleets I think you can build with Zelos and an Inferno Dragon. Inferno Dragon flag, and you can actually do the 120s for a very short repair time if you've got the build right.
Yeah, but for the guys that need that, they got to get 40 million in a raid. I mean, that thing should be like 20 million now. The regular one should be like 5 or 10. I mean, like start letting this stuff get out there easy for these players to get what they need.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense. I mean, that's why I've been so surprised, because I'm thinking like tier 3 or tier 4 of the FM should have dragon tokens and replace, why are there still Zelos tokens out there?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense. It's just like, somebody doesn't have the job to take a look at some of this stuff. It's the way it feels. I'm not sure what the situation is, but it just feels like nobody has the job to take care of this, to look at that part of the game.
I think it's because I don't know whether any of them play the game, and so they see the overall picture that we see.
Yeah, they don't see it from our point of view, that's for sure.
And especially, I'm a leader of an alliance, yeah. So, and we got players. I got a player John the other day. He's level 47, and I'll let them all. I'll get them all in. We've got 85 players, but so I let a couple little ones in because we had a little bit of room, and we'll see how they go. Because I want to see how a small player can do coming in there, and whether he's going to stay. This is it. This is, for me, it's interesting to see if that level 47 has now joined our alliance, and we can offer some builds and advice and tips. But I mean, the problem is the stuff that he's going to be using now, and what it would be used. I mean, I stopped using that stuff years ago, or for so long ago. Sometimes it's hard for me a level 129 to say to a level 47 what he should be using, because I've got everything. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying, I'm going to go, well, use this. I've got none of that. I've got none of that. Obviously, I'll say, well, what have you got? So I say, we've got a couple of good players who are a little bit lower than me. Ask them, see how they're getting on. They might be able to advise you better than I can, to be honest with you. Because they're closer to your level, and it wasn't so long ago they were using the same stuff you're using now. Or trying to. So, but yeah, because it's so long since you were using that sort of stuff. It's hard to offer the advice to some extent. As we say, we've gone over this many times in the show. There's so many specials, that we have to trawl through before we find the ones that we hope work the best. Trying to offer someone the best build advice when we don't even know what they've got is almost impossible,
Yeah, that's for sure. I just brought in. I'm an LT as well in my alliance, and I just brought in like 4 people that came back, and they're like under 100 just to help them out. And they'll be asking me, okay, what should I get? What should I get? And this or that. I'm like, just get points. But I'm like, you got to take pictures of what's available and post it on our page so I can see what you're missing. I can't just tell you what to. I mean, I can give you ideas what to get, but I don't know what you have.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. You don't know what they've got. Yeah. So it's hard to offer advice for people if you don't know what specials they do and don't have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. Someone will ask you for a build. You go, oh, okay, here's a build. And they go, oh, I haven't got this. Oh, I haven't got that. I haven't got this. So in the end, all they've got is the hole.
Yeah.
They've got nothing else. And you don't know. That's the thing. You don't know what they have.
Okay. 1 minute, got to turn the fan on over for the wife.
Oh, she's home?
Yeah, she's got back now. Yeah,
all right, good for you, man.
Yeah, she came back today. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah, I get up now and yeah, she's there. It feels much better. Yeah, the place was empty without her. I was at 12, nearly 13 days in hospital. So yeah, it's a long time now.
That's your Christmas present sorted then?
Oh yeah, yeah, it's all good now. Yeah, I'll be back in a minute.
It's nice to see Ren's back. So how are you doing, Ren? I mean, you sticking around? Or are you just here for a little bit, or what's going on?
I was away until they did the refactor. I cut everything off. Well, I think it was the SF I like to poke fun at that. It was my 3rd time quitting.
Yeah, I remember.
And I'm happy not doing any shows, not being on any pages with Kixeye, not going on Discord, just playing the game with my alliance. And actually having fun, which I hadn't had in a year.
Yeah, I can understand. You put a lot of energy into it, and it just gets to be too much for the overall payout. And it's like, I just want to come on and play my game for a few hours a day.
That's it.
I think also the other problem that I've found as well, when you're offering advice
I have
to people,
many problems.
Well, when you're offering advice to people now to build something, and then Kixeye nerf it, and everyone's built that. It's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, then they're mad at him. It's like, I was just showing you what I use. I didn't know they were going to do that.
It works.
And not being on any page gave me a bit of freedom of like, I put a video for the Eradicator out there. I'm not on any page to be tagged on 20 posts a day of people saying, oh, but I don't have that armor. What else can I use?
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, as I said,
right?
As alliance leader, we
go like, oh, how are you going to change your build?
Yeah,
I'm not doing that. That's the video out there. I might release another one in a month or 2, whatever, but take it from there, right?
Well, we've got a general alliance page, and then we have like what we call an intel page, which is like base designs and fleet builds. Yeah, but of course, if you as I say, and people will put, this is my idea of a fleet, and we go, okay, and because we always say, they'll ask, what can I build? We say, well, let's see your design first. And because that'll show us what you've got, and then we can see if we can change it and what would be better on it, or what we consider to be better on it, if you've got those, But until we know what they've got or what they think is the best, it's hard to offer that advice.
Yeah, a lot of us have been here so long. We know like what works with what and this and that, but I mean, some people just don't. And it's like you said, it's like, show me what you think should be on there, and then I'll tell you if it's right or wrong, and then I'll explain why. So you get them starting to thinking of how the build should be on the next couple. You know what I mean? You got to put the seeds there so they grow. Don't just give it to them on a plate, and then they're like whatever, and just it's like you got to learn.
Well, this is it. I mean,
and I even shared the code, and I know a lot of people are just, there's no other word for that. They're just lazy. They want to copy code and paste and build, but then they go like, oh, I don't have, let's say, the D6M armor. What can I use? I'm like, well, just read the fucking armor stat block. If it's giving you missile defense, then use something else for missile.
Exactly.
One of the things that I would like them to do that would make it easier for players that aren't as aware of the stats of everything that's going on in the game is, something I've been complaining about for a while, is a filtering system associated with our shipyard that, is much more comprehensive than what we have right now. Because sometimes I go through there and I have, because, we have over 300 specials.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's like, and they're only identified by pictures. And it's ridiculous at this point that they're trying to push forward with all this other stuff and still not like make it easier for players that want to build correctly and do things correctly. They don't. It's a trying process. I've been playing this game since me and Red have been playing this game before.
Since it started.
Yeah. I mean, there was still, the amphibians still had not come out of the sea at that point, and I have a hard time figuring out where some of these specials are, and I could sort of remember, oh, maybe this has a splash or this has this. But it's at this point, it's frustrating, trying to put something together with 6 specials, and we don't know at this point, like, what stacks with what, especially if it's new. And it takes a while to figure that out. And there's not a good system for these players to do it.
Not to mention, there are a lot of unnatural things we do nowadays to get the best result. I'll give you a simple example. In the old days, if you wanted to play with your spread and splash, you either went explosive system or combustion system.
Yeah.
Because that's what they did. Nowadays, you actually have some specials that their primary function is not to play with splash and splat, but they do so better than those original specials. So then all of a sudden you're going to see yourself looking at this special that came out with scatter guns, and it's intended for scatter guns, but actually gives you a better splash and spread buffs, depending on what you want.
Yeah.
And the other special. So you start doing very weird things to get the result you want. And of course, players who have a life will have no clue what's going on.
Well, I never pretend to have all the answers, So when I put a build up, which I think is a reasonable build, I put it on our page, and I'll put feedback false, because I want, for 2 reasons. I might have missed something, and also I want the other guys that are looking at it to look at it and think themselves, because I want them to start looking through things and creating their own builds as well. You know what I mean? Rather than just like cookie cutter. I want them to start thinking about what they're doing, because that's the way you grow in the game, isn't it? When you start looking, and you start thinking about how you're making something rather than just giving it to them on a plate.
Yeah, there's so many specials. It's like sometimes you forget, or sometimes somebody will have a different idea, and they're both going to work. It's just something you might not have thought of, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's just good to bounce ideas off to where you can figure out where you're going, so you're not wasting time in your shipyard. And you know what I mean? It's like, talk about it first. Don't just start blindly building something and not knowing why it's doing what it does.
I mean, well, personally, I build everything. I don't. I make all my builds up myself, so maybe that's why I'm more frustrated with this interface. The interface is really what just, I just find it really frustrating.
It's not a high volume interface, for sure.
Yeah. It's
another funny thing about what you were saying about the builds is, like, I remember when TSM was around, and we would compare our builds for each raid cycle, they would always be very different, but both would work.
Yeah, that's how me and one of my guys are. Me and him, we do pretty much the builds and shit, and and ours are like right on point, but there'll be like maybe 1 or 2 specials different, and that's how we are. We don't copy one another's. We'll talk to each other about shit, but I'm like, I'm gonna do this, and he's gonna do that.
Yeah, TSM and I would have 2-3 specials that were not the same. Our armor choices would not be the same, but in the end, both were scoring a bunch of points and for reasonable damage.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can have one can have more defense, the other one's got a bit more evade or something like that, and but both fleets work.
Right.
It's down to how you build. I mean, I must admit, I normally stick with my main build unless I've obviously missed something and someone does point it out to me. but I would normally go with what I've posted unless they say, "Have you looked at this one?" And I go, "Oh, you know, yeah, I'm missing," because we've got to trawl through, as we've said before, 300 fucking specials, you know, and try and find the right combination of 6 to put on.
Yeah, well, like Hefe said, I mean, if there was like a drop-down window to where, you know, it said, okay, well, you're looking at Splash, well, then all these things pop up with Splash. And then even though it might be for radioactive or whoever knows what it is, but it might have like 70 Splash versus the one that's supposed to go with that only has like 35. So, I mean, we know how to look for stuff like that, but not a lot of people do.
But there's irregularities because certain specials stack with things and others don't.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, that's what makes it more frustrating because I'm always I build, you know, like 24 hours to 48 hours at a time. So it forces me to make a complete build and then tone it back because I need to make sure everything stacks with each other. You know, like, you know,
right.
You know, with the current thing, like Cannon System 5 is a whole different thing than, you know, your nuclear accelerators and whatnot. Like these things don't stack together. So if you're going for maximum damage versus X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You got to build it all up, but you don't start it. I keep trying to tell my guys that. I'm like, don't be doing like 5, 10, 15-day builds. I'll do like 1 to 3 days, maybe, 12 hours, 24, a day and a half, and then let that build. But keep moving forward. But don't have it that long, because if you got to kill it, I had to kill one once a couple years ago, and man, it crushed me. It's like halfway through, I already used some tokens, and then I needed to do something real quick, so I had to stop it. And I'm like, I just wasted all that time and tokens.
I try and keep all my builds to a couple of days maximum, apart from obviously the blank holes.
Right. But what I'm saying on top of that, you need to have this thing built out completely, just to know what stacks. Does stack and does not stack with each other.
Yeah, what the ship will allow. Yeah.
This doesn't stack with this because some of the time it doesn't make sense what stacks and what doesn't stack. And so if you go through logic, you might be like, oh, okay, my build is fucked.
I wish it was just some of the time.
What'd you say?
I wish it was just some of the time that it didn't make sense.
Yeah, he's trying to say it's pretty much all the time.
Yeah. So, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. I don't know, since, bounty was supposed to be the main thing we're going to talk about. And some people love it. Some people don't want to deal with it. It's all good. Is there much else? We talked about the Krampus thing, which everybody hopes is skirmish. Especially the people with the multiple Brennan's bat rays, but that's a whole different thing.
I scrapped mine like 2 days ago.
Well, you can launch them both, right?
I don't even care. I don't need to, dude. I mean, I would just take all the tech. I understand what you're saying. I'm getting ready to scrap the other ones for free. I don't need 15 bats and razors total. You know what I mean? It's like, come on.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is the thing that people don't seem to understand is all the bat rays and Brennan's bat rays that came out had a bad build.
The Brennan's was like 2 million damage. Mine's like over 3. It's like, I mean, it's not a bad build, but it needs tweaking.
Well, the Hydrotac special should not be on there. That's ridiculous special to be on there. I mean, the armor I would have changed a little bit, but the fact that they took away Advanced Concussive 2 on that one, and it can't be refit because maybe it could be refit if you took off the.
No, I tried a couple times, but maybe now that they finally allow it. But I tried during that period to strip those guns to refit.
Special. I think it's the weapons that keep you from refitting it. But either way, you don't want that ship without the specials.
Yeah.
So even the fact that it's so deficient on damage and whatnot, and it's not a good build. You can't refit it, but people complained about it. But it's a third-rate build.
Yeah. But for anybody that couldn't or struggling to get uranium, you can still do an SSRB with it.
Yeah, it's a great build. Yeah, you could not much. I mean, I got little guys that, I mean, in that free bat fleet, it's not great, but it's good. And it only needs like one piece of CTX5 and then swap out one of the specials for payload 2. And you just made that whole fleet like 200% better.
Yeah. I mean, it gives them access to something they never had before.
You can it's like a one day refit.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like 23 hours and X number of minutes, because that's what I was pushing for players that got it, because you could do it with a 1 day token. Is take off the Hydrotac special and put on Advanced Concussive 2, and then add on the CTX as the last armor. Yeah, and you make it a much better ship.
And even if you don't even have the CTX, put on the same armor that came with it, because maybe they don't have the points or that armor, and it's a little bit longer. I think it's like an extra 12 hours or something. But just those two things, put on the 4th piece of armor and put on payload 2, and now you got a great fleet.
But it gave I'm saying it gave them access to something that to the lower levels. It gave them access to something they didn't have before, and they can start rolling for crews much easier. That can help them, and things like that. So that was good. I think that was good. It might have been a mistake on their part, but I think it was good.
Yeah.
Definitely, I agree with you on the CTX armor. That's what I meant. I met some players, like I had a guy in my life, he didn't have the CTX, and in the bounty, in the raid, it was like 20 million. You know what I mean? So I was like, well, if you don't have that, just use the one that came with it, because now you have that blueprint, and just put it in that empty spot. You need to fill the empty spot.
Yeah. It's better than the empty spot. Yeah, the hydrofoil was not where we were supposed to go with that. So, especially on the backhauls, the hydrofoil on the Brennus made way more sense, but yeah, on the back ships,
I think if you try an SSRB with those fleets, I think I did try. I think I was getting about 40 minutes damage or something like that.
Yeah. I get 6 minutes of damage with mine.
No, what the free one?
Not the free one. But I'm saying it'd be curious with the 24-hour. Refitting them, I think you would cut it down to probably, I don't know, I'm guessing 15 minutes.
What I'm saying is, as it came was getting an SSRB for 40 minutes damage. Now, for players that were struggling to get uranium, 40 minutes damage to get 130,000 uranium. It's like, you know what I mean?
Now they're overloaded. You just have to go hit a target, and now you're full every day for like half an hour.
They can hit 3 targets, fill up with uranium, and have a 2-hour repair.
Yeah.
And that was something that they could never do before. So from that point, that perspective, it was good. Even without a refit.
Yeah.
So, it's probably just as well, considering the way the damage has gone up in the Daily Mega Mayhem, so making people need to repair longer.
Yeah, those campaigns are messed up, man. I mean, oh my god.
Okay, this is one thing I want to talk about. Is anybody having problems with the 103 Legion colonies, the base part targets?
Yeah, those a lot of damage because they're not working right. Like your ships are stopped, and if like I used to auto and stuff.
Yeah. I filed a tick about it, and they were like, they sent me some gold, and then I tried to contact Kixeye about it, and they're like, maybe you need to update your ships. And I was like, wow, okay. I mean, because I was doing it all for auto.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, instant in the base as far as I would just repair my flag, and I could run all day and all night. And so that was my initial response. And I'm like, no, you guys need to look at this, because I could hit the 103s all day and all night with my fleet. And now, I try to auto it, and I had to jump in, and I took 5.5 hours of damage.
Yeah.
And
it's nice you said you guys need to look at this rather than don't you fucking patronize me.
Yeah, right.
A lot of times, even with my bat ray build, which I think is a good build, but they told me the same thing, and I'm like, wow, this is fascinating, because I was able to do the first the 110 or the 100s. I was able to do that for 6 minutes of damage. in the first raid before I got all the flagship and all this other crap, and then I was able to keep on doing, and it was like 10 minutes of damage in the second raid, and then when it started, I was getting like 2 hours of damage in the third one, and then it eventually came down to like right around an hour. But when I showed him, I'm like, "Oh, what's your build?" And I showed him to him like, "Well, maybe you need to update your build." And I'm like,
God.
I'm
Yeah, you're hearing this from people that never play. Guys that never play are telling you you should fix your build. It's like, dude, come on. Why don't you like listen to me? I'm trying to help you. Help me help you.
Yeah. I was a little bit like I chose not to speak at that point, so I didn't get in trouble.
Yeah, well, that was where I was going. Yeah, and that's probably why I'll never get invited to a fucking, a town council meeting.
Yeah.
I'll burn the town down.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I just chose to not speak at that point. But we've been going on for an hour and a half, and it sounds like half of what we're talking about is after show material. And I know a lot of people in YouTube chat don't like to be publicly broadcast, so I'm thinking about ending the show, the live show, and then letting everybody that wants to join the after show. So is there any like parting words or anything, anything you guys would like to talk about before we head off until Wednesday, or in case in case something exciting happens and we pop back on again. But yeah, everybody's welcome to join the after show. But
yeah, anybody can join, and we talk for like hours sometimes. I mean, it's crazy. Those like, what time is it now? I'm at Eastern Standard Time, and it's 8:30.
8:30.
There's times like John and I are on till like 2 a.m.
Well, it's 2 a.m. for you. It's about 5 a.m. for me.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like that's the time frame. Like the show's an hour, and we're on for like 6 after.
Yeah.
So you can have some fun, if you want to keep on, listening or talking or participating in any way. All
I'm going to say is Merry Christmas, everybody. Enjoy your holidays, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, now I got one little thing. Don't forget about the Tier 7 discounted time refits and stuff. That's going on, and it still goes on after bounty. So if you need something from there, you still got a little bit of time to do a refit at a reduced rate.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still not sure how to use that correctly, but yeah, I know it's out there. But yeah,
do you
like the plate 3s and stuff are like half the time. Like that, I was like, whoa.
Yeah. I already got it all done with the tokens, so yeah, it's whatever. I'm representing first world problems, so yeah. So thanks, everybody, and I'll see you on Wednesday. If something crazy happens, we'll have a little emergency show, and we can talk about whatever. But thanks for showing up, and see you all then. And good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.